Rise Up Radio Show here with the police state news for the week of September 25th, 2012. Again, Rise Up Radio Show. You can check out riseupradio.com for the podcast, youtube.com/riseupradio for the YouTube series, and you can hear us live every Wednesday from 7 to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time on kdrplive.org. Let's get into the police state news. Got some tough stuff here. If you don't think America's a police state, this next story might shake your boots a little bit there. This is from Wired Magazine. Revealed 64 drone bases on American soil. The article starts off, we like to think of the drone war as something far away, fought in the deserts of Yemen or the mountains of Afghanistan. I say we like to think of the drone war as something that's more in tune with science fiction movies like Star Wars or science fiction books, but the article goes on, but we know it's much closer than we thought. There are 64 drone bases on American soil that includes 12 locations housing Predator and Reaper unmanned aerial vehicles, which can be armed. Public Intelligence, a nonprofit that advocates for free access to information, released a map of military UAV activities in the United States on Tuesday. Assembled from military sources, especially a little-known June 2011 Air Force presentation, it is arguably the most comprehensive map so far of the spread of the Pentagon's unmanned fleet. What exact missions are performed at those locations, however, is not clear. Some bases might be used as remote cockpits to control the robotic aircraft overseas, some for drone pilot training. Others may also serve as imagery analysis depots. So we know that these bases are all across the entire country, and they're being used by local law enforcement now, primarily through Department of Homeland Security grants, in order to engage in surveillance and in order to assist with their crime prevention efforts and responding to crimes. And here in the city of Austin, Chief Art Acevedo, or at least Chief Art Acevedo's underlings, were calling for a drone publicly. They went and tested one. The media picked up on it. We did an open records request, the organization Texans for Accountable Government, and they found that they actually had contracts already lined up, even some chat about PR, public relations. And I think Acevedo may have potentially used this drone push as a lever to get a second helicopter that he's always been pushing for, because they backed off of the drone once it was approved that the helicopter would be on the budget. We'll have to ask Art Acevedo himself if that was a political move or not. But nonetheless, there are 64 drone bases in America. One of them might be down the road from you. They are being used for domestic intelligence gathering activities, and they're being used by local law enforcement, and they are capable of being equipped with weaponry. So this is the future. You are living in a police state. Here is some police abuse story, which ended up in an unarmed man's death at the hands of Houston Police Department. And this is never good news, but unfortunately it's all across the country, and it happens just about every single day. You find a multitude of stories of police abuse, either beatings or outright death. But this is out of KSAT. Houston police shoot double amputee. Wheelchair-bound man threatened officer's partner, police say. This is from CNN, September 23rd, 2012. Houston police shot to death a double amputee in a wheelchair who they said was trying to stab an officer with a pen. The man, Brian Clonch, was shot in the head Sunday morning after 2 police officers arrived at a group home for the mentally ill. The officers were responding to a report that Clonch, a reported schizophrenic who lost an arm and a leg in a train accident, was acting aggressively. His caretaker had refused to give him a cigarette and a soda, according to the police and the facility owner. The officer made verbal commands for the suspect to drop whatever he had in his hand, to stay still, and to speak with the officers, but the suspect continued to make threats. Clonch trapped an officer with his wheelchair in the corner of the room. As he advanced toward the officers, Clonch was refusing to show his hands. It turned out in his hands he had a pen. That's right, a man was shot in the head by Houston police officers, a double amputee in a wheelchair, for having a pen in his hand. This is definitely a tragic event. It begs the question, if police officers are to have tasers, which I don't believe they are, but originally they were equipped with the tasers to use as a tool of last resort, meaning when they're going to pull their pistol, consider using the taser in order to subdue a suspect that may be threatening themselves or the officers or people around, so they say. Why did the officer not pull the taser in this particular instance to subdue this man, not knowing what he had in his hand? Unfortunately, more often than not, police officers get away with this type of behavior because they inform the public that they didn't know what the suspect was going to do, what the person was going to do. And unfortunately, some officers are even getting away with murder by simply claiming that they themselves feared for their lives. And unfortunately, the system allows it to where a certain class of people can get away with murder in some instances because they claim they feared for their lives. Well, the question is, what about the people that fear for their lives because they are afraid of police abuse? Houston has an epidemic of police abuse. People are killed and beaten savagely by Houston Police Department, and this seems to be yet another example of that. We will give you more updates on this particular story, but on the surface it seems to be just some more police state activity that we see brewing here in the United States. 64 drone bases on American soil being utilized for public intelligence gathering and being utilized by local law enforcement. And Houston police shoot double amputee. That's from KSAT.com. This is the Rise Up Radio Show. This has been Police State News for the week of September 25th, 2012. Stay peaceful and stay safe.